Hey guys, welcome to round 3 of the Hall of Fame Classic. Thanks to Terry Miller for covering this, as well as the PDGA and Dynamic Disc for sponsoring the coverage. My name's Paige Pierce.
And my name is Elaine King. It's great to be commentating with you, Paige, as well as the Ed Hedrick Hall of Fame Classic for 2018. This also marks the finale of the National Tour Series for 2018. And at the end of this, we'll be giving out trophies for the 2018 National Tour champions.
Awesome. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action, so thank you guys for watching. We're going to be starting here on hole 1, which is quite the opening hole.
Yes, your first drive, you choose either to take the left side or the right side. If you take the right side, it's a pretty straight shot. If you're a big thrower, you can curl it left around the corner. If you take the left alley, however, you need to do a slight anhyzer.
Absolutely, and whichever line you take, if you just land by that stump, you're going to be in prime position to maybe attack for the birdie, but definitely get a par if your drive's landing by that stump.
And so first up, we have Catrina Allen. She chooses the right alleyway, and she's got a beautiful drive that goes down straight, gives a little bit of a hyzer skip, and leaves her in a good position for her next shot.
Yeah, I think that's been her best drive of the week here on the last round with the championship on the line, so it's a great way to start.
Paige, you had a little too much energy there. I think you
Too much
over-rotated a
energy.
bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a late release there. I'm going to be hindered on the right side.
There you go, Elaine.
And there's my shot. It's kind of like a mini version of Cats. It didn't go as far, but still leaves me in a good spot.
Absolutely. You've been throwing that vanish well. I've been telling the listeners about that disc. You've been throwing it so much.
And Sarah gets a little bit hugging the right side, so let's see what kind of look she has from there.
I didn't have much, as you can see, so I'm just going to throw my deputy out into the middle of the fairway and reassess from there.
So you're reassessing. What are you assessing?
I see a line open, so I know it's really far, so I grabbed the farthest distance in my bag, the Ballista Pro, and I'm just trying to hug that tree tight so I can get as much distance as possible. And this actually landed way closer than I thought. It was about an 80-footer or so to save par after hitting first available, so I was pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, I had a little wardrobe change there. And on my second shot, I'm just trying to get it, if possible, across that little path there, and
Yeah.
that leaves me in a good position to get my par.
Sarah, a little bit tucked on the right. She's going to have to almost purposely late release this to avoid that tree, so let's see what she does.
Oh, look at that. She kind of leaned out as
Yeah,
she was
she did.
throwing. That was a nice shot.
She is, she absolutely uses her body on every shot, and it's awesome to watch the power that comes out of it. Catrina with her signature H3 here. I'm not sure if she was trying to go outside or inside of that, but regardless, she got through the gap. I just think it was a little shorter than she wanted.
Yeah, I think she put a little too much
Too much
hyzer on.
hyzer, yeah.
And I had a nice look at the basket to lay up my shot within about 10 feet or so.
Hokom with a standstill step out sidearm. This is not an easy shot, but she makes it look so easy, landing in the bullseye even. So like I said, this is to save par. It's a long shot, and I don't get it, but I was happy with just the chance, honestly, after hitting the first tree.
And Kat's going for a
This
possible
is for
birdie.
birdie, yeah. Oh, just a tiny bit low.
That was a
Just
really
tiny
great
bit.
effort. It's not often you see women getting a birdie on this
Yeah, I
hole.
don't know if there was any the entire weekend in our division.
Now, what's that gray putter that you're using?
It's a Prime Burst Deputy. You on Facebook? There's like this whole thing going on about what team of a putter you're on, so I'm on Team Deputy.
Okay. I'm on Team Adam.
Team Adam. All right. That purple disc's just finding the center of the chains every time. All right, and Hokom and Kat tap out with pars, and Catrina will take another stroke on me, and we're moving on to hole 2. This is one of the shorter holes on the course, I would say.
Yeah, if you've got a drive that goes about 375, you've got a really good opportunity for a deuce here. But you have to be careful not to go too wide to the right, nor to give it too much hyzer, because then that will either get you too far to the left, or you might even hit one of these trees that's guarding the left side of the fairway.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to push that right side so that you can get past those middle barrier trees. But like Elaine said, if you push it too far to the right, you're hitting those trees and you're not even going to get halfway to the basket.
Now, I think Kat's throwing a disc that has a little bit of a flip to it, because she's getting usually a really nice line.
Yeah, it's her D1. She's actually been bagging that since 2013. So it's gotten quite a bit flippier than it started out. And this is your Photon, is that correct?
It is my Fission Photon. It's my go-to for trying to get the maximum distance I can.
Yeah, has a good stand up to it. Hokom with the sidearm. This is such a fun shot to watch. She releases it on a hyzer and it just steadily flips over and then rides out. It's so fun to watch that shot when you're playing with her.
Absolutely. Gets maximum distance because she's got the anhyzer and then she's got the hyzer back.
I'm throwing my Lucidex Convict here, trying to hit that right side gap.
Woo!
Pull it a little bit too wide, but it still finds its stability at the end and gets through.
Nice. And I'm just tossing it up there to get a par.
Pars are good out here. Got a jumper to see about a birdie and leave it a tiny bit low.
That was in there for a second.
Yeah, I thought it was. It hit the little ring in there. Sarah, she took the rope and saw that it was about 2 steps outside the circle. And she makes it.
But she
Yeah,
didn't need to step
yep.
through in order
I
to
know,
make that
I
putt.
thought that was strange. You remember her grabbing the
I
rope?
remember
Yeah.
her measuring it very carefully, but, I don't tend to take a step when I'm just outside the circle
Yeah.
either. Oh, great putt by Kat.
Katrina making it look quick and making it look easy, really.
She's a quick putter.
She is. She said that she's been working on her putt this last month and a half, and obviously it's paying off very well.
Yeah, I'm not a quick putter. I've had trouble with my putt in the past, particularly the short distances.
Yeah.
So I just make sure it's lined up, my hand feels good, my release point feels good. So I just take a moment. But it's been really paying off
like
for
it
me
was
because
Good.
I
Yeah,
feel
we
like
can tell.
taking a moment there has made me feel much more sure.
That's awesome. And with Kat and Hokom both parting birdies there, they both are going to move a stroke ahead of Elaine and I. And we're on to hole 3, which is probably the hardest hole as far as not hitting a tree.
Yeah,
You're almost guaranteed to hit a tree on this course.
It's
this
a
hole.
new hole, so you know what? When you look at that hole right now, it's not really evident where the fairway is, which trees you should be going around, and of course that's going to change in the future as it gets beat in. But I think there's some beauty to this hole because the trees are fairly widely spaced, and you can really choose your line, but you're going to land in a different place every time.
Yep.
And you're going to need to make your second shot different depending on where you land. You just pick your
Absolutely.
gap.
You kind of have to adapt. You like as many times as you practice the hole, you don't know what you're going to be left with. Katrina throws her D2 just to flip it into that gap and gets good distance. And Hokom, this sidearm got even farther than Kat's D2 Anheuser, so they're going to be in great position.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a different strategy. I decided to just try and hyzer it into the opening there.
And I have a different strategy as well. I'm throwing a hyzer flip with a deputy. I'm not trying to bite off much distance. I'm just trying to find the center of the fairway just past that spotter.
And that's your best shot all weekend.
Thank you. Thanks.
You put it right in the center of the gap where you were aiming. And here's an example of, you pick your gap and you try and hit it. And I was
And you did.
really happy to hit my gap on that second shot.
Like Elaine said, this was my best shot of the weekend, but it left me in the worst position. So that's kind of what we're talking about with the new hole. Didn't have a super clean line, but I got a ways up there and should have a look at par.
And Kat looks like she's got a really nice gap to hit through, but guardian
Super
trees
late
near the
tree, though.
basket.
Luckily, it was a late tree. She still should have a putt on it. I think that tree that she hits only about 50, 60 feet from the basket.
Yeah, there you can see Hokom going over the rough to land hers probably within the circle.
Yeah, she's just about pin high, just on the right side. Great approach. What's that disc?
That's the spin.
Spin, yeah.
It's a really, really understable putter, and it's really fun to throw when you need to get around an obstacle.
And actually, Hokom started bagging one of those as well. She's gonna actually maybe
We might
we'll
see it later.
Yeah,
Later
maybe
on.
pretty
Let's
soon.
look out for it. Kat had a good luck there.
Yeah, she doesn't have to be too aggressive on these putts, but it was uncharacteristic to see her miss that one low. But like I said, it was about 50, 55 feet.
There's the birdie.
Great putt. She took her time, her full 30 seconds on this one. As you can see, that little tree was kind of guarding the basket, but she used that spin that I was just talking about. She said it gets a little more glide than the prowler she usually uses.
And again, with a rare 3 on this hole. I think
Yeah.
there were very few 3s in the women's division.
Yeah, she absolutely is taking strokes on the field just by getting that birdie right there. And she's going to close the gap on me a little bit. I'm starting to get kind of worried about Hokom at this point.
I think I noticed some beads of perspiration on your
Yeah,
forehead at this
probably.
point, because you had a bit of a slow start.
Probably, but coming into hole 4, it's a backhand hyzer line, so I'm like, maybe I can get that stroke back.
Oh, and we both had awesome drives
Yeah,
last
me too.
round.
It was awesome to watch. If you guys haven't seen round 2, I encourage you to do so now, or after this is over.
Well, you could continue watching this.
Yes.
You don't have to stop right now.
right.
But you can see there's a few trees a little bit randomly scattered near the basket. So what you have to do is try to get your disc down the fairway and then hope
Late
for a nice
turning.
glide. Now that's tough for a lefty.
I don't know if I could throw that shot ever from a sidearm. Like, that was an impressive shot. She got pin high with the basket just a little bit to the right. Catrina with that H3 pulls it a tiny bit wide, and it hits that guardian tree on the right and gets a unfortunate kick as well. What disc is this?
This is that photon again,
Oh, okay.
but as you can see, I put too much hyzer on it. I think I was thinking too much about Kat's shot and telling myself I had to hit the middle, and I didn't stand it up enough when I released it. Yeah, another hanger honor.
Hanger honor.
You got to let that disc go, Paige.
I know. I was having some grip issues this round for sure. At least early in the round, I kind of got it handled a little bit later. But yeah, anytime your release point's off in the woods, you're going to be losing some strokes. We're having to scramble like this. I'm throwing my EMAC Truth on a step out sidearm and get myself near circle's edge.
And I concluded my only option was trying to roll it around, but I put it on its back a little bit too much. Maybe I should have thrown a different disc. I'm still thinking about that one.
Are you?
I
It was
am.
fun to see you try that though, and I think a lot of times where you learn the most is in tournaments. Just having to
Absolutely.
execute when you have one chance. Hokom from out of the bushes for a birdie. Good
Yeah.
distance, just a little bit low.
She had a really nice look at it from where she was as well. I do not have a nice look at it, and I kind of awkwardly, not a bad attempt,
No,
but
it really wasn't. And this is to save par from circle's edge. Drop. Little high, actually. I thought I made that one, actually.
just a couple inches high.
Yeah.
It probably
It felt
doesn't.
good, though. The stroke felt good, so I wasn't going to be too upset about that.
And Kat, again, just a little bit short.
Good trajectory, just a little low.
Yeah, we did not do a great job on this hole as a
We
group.
didn't. We really did not.
Sarah got a 3. The rest of us got a bogey.
Lead card, final round. It's not what you want to see on one of the shorter holes on the course.
And I'm actually noticing how badly my shoes clash with my skirt. So I'm going to have to, get some fashion tips here. I might have to buy a new pair of shoes if I'm going to wear that skirt. I'm sorry you had to look at that all around. Okay, hole 5?
Yes, hole 5. I've been saying this is, I think, my favorite hole in the course. It's so pretty. I just absolutely love standing on this tee pad and looking down at the basket. There's not anything in your way if you throw it straight, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's not quite straight. You need just a titch of anhyzer if you're a backhand righty thrower. But if you can shape it down that fairway, as you can see, it widens out when it gets to the basket, and the basket's just a little bit elevated.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of elevation on this course, surprisingly, and I really enjoy it.
Okay, a little bit wide there from Sarah, and she hits an early tree.
Yeah, if you don't get past about halfway down this fairway, you're going to be kind of struggling to save par, so we'll see how she can recover from that.
Now, I way overdid it with my anhyzer, and I am in the shul.
You kind of hesitated with the shh, and I was wondering what you were going to say. I throw my EMAC Truth. My past 2 rounds, I haven't done this hole any justice, and I finally got through the gap. A little bit left side, but I'm just happy to be, within circle 2.
And I think that's a good strategy, actually, not to worry about it tailing off left.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is to get as far as you can.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you were the only one who made much headway down that fairway.
Yeah, Catrina absolutely threw a gorgeous shot on this hole yesterday. Today she pulled it just a tiny bit wide, but she's going to throw this incredible F2 turnover sidearm. But she hits a late tree, but she's still well up there.
Okay, Sarah's got a few options of where to make the turn. She goes for the inner turn.
This shot was amazing. I was standing right behind her because I saw like 3 different gaps that she could take, and I was wondering which one.
Look, I'm doing a sidearm.
Sidearm.
Look, it went in the right
Nice.
direction.
And it was
Woo!
pure. Nice. You're going to be left with what, 15, 20 footer?
Something like that.
Catrina, stress-free approach up to the basket. Unfortunately, it's going to be for a bogey, but, sometimes when you don't get off the tee, you kind of have to settle for that.
Yep, and you got your approach shot to where you needed it.
Hokom looks like she's really trying to enforce the anhyzer angle on this release.
Yeah, the tree is really obstructing her.
She pulls it off, but just a tiny bit high. That was a great angle. I didn't realize that putt had that much angle to it during the round.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see it from this angle. I didn't flatten it.
This is a rare miss. The first round and second round, we haven't really seen a miss from Elaine King.
I have been
5-time world champion.
Well, I've been thrilled with my putting to this point, and yeah, I think that's the first inside the circle miss I've had. So
Yeah.
can't be too upset.
Taste
But
and take your time, kids.
oh gosh, after the sidearm as well, I really wanted to
Yeah.
put it in.
That's all right. Strokes come and go a lot out here on the Jackson course. It's a great challenge. So, I'm sure you'll get that back at some point in this
Gosh,
round.
I really need to never wear those shoes with that skirt. That's really bothering me now that I'm looking at it.
Don't look at it. All right, hole 6. You can see the camera going down the right side, but if you saw that there was a left side as well. Both gaps are equally as wide, but a lot of us prefer this right gap as it's just a more natural shot. So regardless of which gap you choose, you're just going to want to miss all the trees and get about to that tree right there. And for the women, it's kind of almost unreachable to it. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is the right side has the hill earlier in the flight path, where the left side has the hill later in the flight path.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. I didn't think about that, but it totally does. Good insight.
Nice. So you pured it up there. It didn't have too much hyzer. And given the hill, that's the danger on this hole, that you'll end up hyzering it too much if you're a backhand righty. Now, Sarah, being a side armor, she has that hyzer in and leaves her in a great position to approach the basket.
And as we just said, it's pretty much unbirdieable in our division. So honestly, all we're trying to do is just get maybe halfway down the fairway clear so that we can take a stress-free par. Catrina throwing her D2 on this. The past couple days, she has been throwing her BP, so I'm not sure what her thought process was on that, but it seemed to work out really well.
It was a more conservative throw than she's been doing.
A little bit lower, and she actually mentioned something about having height issues on her releases during this round.
But, there's nothing wrong with throwing a low center shot here. It just
Absolutely
grounds out. It's a much easier 3.
Absolutely not. I'm throwing my suspect here. It's my Tina suspect. It's got a picture of Tina on it from her MySpace days. Beauty
Nice.
of Dimax. You can put anything on a disc.
I managed to get all the way up.
Ooh, dead center.
Straight.
See? You recovered well.
I was happy with that. That felt like a bit of a scramble because I was farther back than I would have liked to have been.
Yeah. Same with me. I thought I was going to be in the bullseye, and I still had a kind of a tester, so I was excited to hit that one and connect for the par.
Well, we're still going uphill at this point, so you have
We
to
are,
throw it a little
correct.
harder than you think.
Yeah. And Hokom is going to take her time, get up here, and
Oh, no, she
tap
didn't
in
take
for
any
par.
time at all. She just,
I meant get into the disc, the
Oh.
cart life, You just kind of strolling through the park in the woods.
so we all took 3s, which is good.
Absolutely. And we are on to hole 7, which is our first par 4 in a few holes. This one is, I really enjoy this hole. It has a good mix of elevation, trees, everything. This black tree that you're seeing right now, you want to be just left of that, about pin high with it, and that'll be about the sweet spot for a good second shot.
Yeah, and we're now going through the fairway of the second shot, which has lots of elevation. You want to get your disc high enough that it travels over the valley and hopefully lands somewhere close to the basket for the birdie.
I'm throwing my verdict here and don't get it quite wide enough and hit the guardian tree on the left side. I'm going to be left with a lot of work to do to save par.
And Hokom throws a backhand. I've been really impressed with her throwing the backhand when the shot really demanded it.
Absolutely.
She put it a little bit deep and caught a tree, but lands in the fairway. I pulled out a new Vanish because I had beaten my red one into submission earlier in the day.
And you landed perfectly. We actually talked about that on the tee pad, that you picked a new disc for this hole. I actually told the viewers this is my favorite shot that you threw all weekend, was that shot on the
Oh,
whole round 1
you're
and 2.
paying attention.
Yeah, of course. I like watching the game.
So what are you doing here? Are you just setting up for your third shot?
Hitting early kind of takes the birdie out of play, so I'm just trying to play for par and throw my Marshall to where I wanted my drive to land and just kind of take my medicine.
Yeah, and similarly, Hokom's not in a great position, so she's just trying to get a little bit of distance, but had an early hit.
You
So
think she was trying to go left side?
I'm not quite sure which gap she was aiming
Yeah,
for.
I'm
There
not
is some
either.
high gaps there
I was
around.
kind of looking at that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I
This
didn't.
shot was so good. Just a tiny bit inside.
It
but,
was
like,
inside.
The
It was.
angle was so good.
It's
I
not
loved
where I was aiming, so I wasn't very happy with that shot. Now, there's a shot that hit the fairway for your second.
That's
hole.
the line we're all trying to hit. Absolutely. And she even gets up there within the circle. So Kat's going to be the only one to have a birdie attempt on this hole.
Okay, now you're just trying to get up and down.
Yeah, and my Marshall went a little bit too far, so I kind of had to throw more extreme of a hyzer angle than I wanted to and put it a little too wide.
And Hokom has to pick her gap and hit it, which, look at that.
She does.
Easy peasy.
Great shot by Hokom. She's going to be right around where Kat landed inside the circle. I'm left with a short approach just to land under the basket and hopefully take a bogey, but I kind of overthrow it and I'm left with a difficult downhill putt. Woo! That was super glidey. Really pretty.
That was a really easy approach shot. Kat's not interested
Yeah,
in
you see
putting
her laying
after
that one up.
round 2. If you haven't seen round 2 footage, she had a bad putting experience, so I completely understand her laying up.
Yeah, there was a lot of action on this whole round 2. I was very surprised, but also really impressed by her play there.
No problem. Def putt.
Yeah, I just tell myself on those, just look at the chains. If you hit the chains, nothing bad can happen. So, luckily, I hit them.
Good. Well, I think my blue shirt brings my light blue shoes slightly into better focus.
Yeah. We are on hole 8 now, par 4. This is downhill off the tee, and then a super dogleg to the right, and the remainder of the hole is slightly uphill.
Yep, there's some random trees as you see, so again, pick your gap, get as far as you can down the fairway. Depends how aggressive you want to be on your first shot.
Absolutely. And we were commenting on this as well yesterday that we think you might have the best play on this drive. We're all trying to round the corner in some way or another. Hokom with the sidearm, and actually gets a great kick.
You did. That was fortunate.
But here's your play right here that we're talking about. You aren't trying to progress that far up the fairway, but just never a chance that it's not going to be a good placement.
No, I threw my spin there, which is understable. It lands me in a spot where hopefully I can have a nice, clear second shot.
And Catrina throws the late flipping putter. As you can see, it does round the corner and gets her more distance than Elaine, but chances are with that Anheuser finish, you're going to get a slight bit of a roll, and who knows if you're going to land behind a tree or not. And this is the exact same play for me, but with my deputy.
Yeah, and look at that. You and Kat landed within about 5 feet of each other. Yeah, my disc landed on a root, and I should have just stood and delivered, but instead I tried to do a run-up, and that was a mistake.
Hokom with a pretty Anheuser down the left side. She kind of tried to flex it over to the left side, a little bit too much of a turn, and she's going to be left on the woods edge.
And look at that.
This is
Sidearm.
best sidearm
And it's
I've
going
ever thrown in
and
my
going
life.
and going. I've never seen you throw so far.
Thank you. I actually proclaimed a swear word after that one because I genuinely surprised myself. I did not think I could get up there.
Well-
My biodefender, I just tried to throw it super hard on an Anheuser release and rely on the stability at the end.
Now, I think you might have been getting a little bit of adrenaline from the fact that you were losing some strokes at that point. Did that
Yeah.
play into your aggression on that sidearm?
Yeah, it did. And also, the fairway was pretty open on that side, so I knew if I just threw it hard with the right angle that there was a chance, but I knew it was small, and I didn't know how much distance I could get off of that. But yeah, so I just threw it as hard as I could.
So Hokom has to get down on her knees to get under that small tree, which is obstructing her shot.
This is her jokery. She is deadly with that thing. You're pretty much always going to see her get in the bullseye when she grabs that thing. We have Catrina. Oh, just a tiny bit low.
But that was for a 3, wasn't
It was. It absolutely was. We had two of us had birdie putts. Oh,
Boom.
I could not miss that putt after that shot. That's the best sidearm of my life. I had so much motivation to hit that putt. Team deputy.
I was pretty happy I hit that. My approach shot was a little bit sloppy. It went down the hill, hyzer, and it left me with a longer putt than I should have been putting for a 6. Okay, and to hole 8, that was a real score separator.
Moving on to hole 9, our last hole on the front 9. This one has so many different options. What do you do here, Elaine?
I like to aim for the middle tree and fall slightly left. If you're a stronger thrower, you'll take the line that the camera's taking right now. But then when you land, as you can see, there's different lines you can take. You can stay far to the right. You can go into the center line. There's also a very nice left alley. And again, as is signature on the Jackson course, some random scattering of trees near the basket so
Yep.
that you have to really pay attention with your approach shot.
This hole, I think a lot of us have different plays, but I think the cool thing about this hole is that no matter where you land, you're kind of in a new position and you kind of have to improvise.
Yeah, I mean, Hokom was definitely aiming for that left gap, and she's ended up kind of in the middle. Kat's always chosen the right gap, but it's hard to give it the right amount of turnover without it coming back because you're throwing uphill.
And Elaine with that vanish, throwing a slight hyzer flip that's going to hyzer out into that left gap. It's a good placement to do where you...
That was exactly what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, and it's exactly what it did.
I'm kind of pinched on the left, so I just have to kind of throw an approach out with mid-range just to get in the center and hopefully have a look at par.
And the line was a little bit tight here. You can't really... Oh, yeah, you can see it from this camera angle that she had to make it through the trees, and she got a good amount of distance all the way down the fairway.
Yeah, she absolutely did. And speaking of the camera angles, shout out to Terry. He now has a catch cam. So you're going to see these two different angles, which is awesome and great addition to the coverage.
Yeah, Kat just progressing down the fairway to that open area to give her the maximum number of options for approaching.
Again, a little low though. She kept talking about how her height was an issue, and we'll see if she can get that more consistent on the back nine.
Beautiful approach. Gives you an excellent short look for your 4.
Catrina with the standstill PA1, little Anheuser release, and gets just outside the bullseye.
I had to lean out a little bit, but I have a nice wide alley as well.
And Hokom going with a jump putt here. This looks to me about like 80 feet or so.
It looked pretty long, but obviously that was a really good layup.
Yeah, she's not trying to make those, but best way to make that gap. So jump putts are good and effective. Catrina taps in for a par.
Yeah, they were all pretty short putts.
And a great front nine from our leader, Sometimes you feel pressure when you're in the lead, but Catrina really didn't appear to let it affect her at all.
No, I think she had 1 bogey.
Yeah,
I had
hole 5, right?
I had a few mistakes, but I was feeling pretty good about my front 9. Pretty consistent with my other rounds.
And
How are you-
Hokom with a literal tap in. So as you can see, the leaderboard is kind of getting tight. We have Elaine dropping down a spot and Lisa moving up a spot.